It takes over 2 months to make just one of these Portuguese tiles called azulejo. Some of the techniques used in this factory are 700 years old. And this is one of the last places in the world that still makes them this way. Today, azulejos are all over Lisbon. But it wasn't always like this.
Santana was at the beginning a ceramic factory producing roof tiles and bricks and floor tiles without any type of glazing and decoration.
The company switched gears after an earthquake hit the city in 1755. As the city rebuilt, the demand for the tiles went up because they were more affordable than stone. And the factory sales also exploded.
And since then, we have never stopped until today, as we continue on 2020 to produce handmade Portuguese tiles, shaped by hand, glazed by hand, and painted by hand with the original techniques of the 18th century.
Each tile is a work of art in itself. It takes steady hands, precision, years of practice, and patience to make just one of them.
We have a huge passion about it. Otherwise, it's impossible to work in some business like that. We have to be passionate about it because it takes time. It's difficult.
The clay is shaped into molds. The squares have to dry for up to 2 months before going into the oven.
It can only go to the first firing with about 2 to 3% of humidity. Otherwise, we are increasing the percentage of breakages.
The first firing makes the tile resistant. One by one, artisans test them by sound. This is a bad tile. This is how it's supposed to sound.
Sometimes we don't see it, but there is a crack, there is a bubble air on the inside. When the tiles are approved, we bring the tiles to the painting area. It's where the magic happens.
Finally, each one is painted by hand with a unique design before going for a second round in the oven. That's when the colors change completely. This grayish color is actually blue, and some colors, like yellow, are more sensitive to the heat. A variation of only 5% in the temperature can make it fade. Blue is much more resistant, and that's why it became so popular.
Imagine this 200 years ago, when the firing was made in wood ovens. It was much more difficult to control temperature, so artists prefer to work in blue and white because no matter what happens in the firing, the work was still there and they didn't have to repeat it.
The more complex the design, the more work it demands, and the price follows. A simply decorated tile can cost around $2. An embellished one can sell for $50 on average, bringing the price of a mural like this one to over $10,000.
Of course, we are talking about the niche market. It will never be a business of millions of tiles.
The Santana factory sells around 25,000 tiles per month, most of them carrying similar motifs.
The majority of the requests we have are for traditional 18th and 19th century designs. When a Santana customer is buying Portuguese tile, he wants to buy a little bit of history, of course.
85% of the production is exported overseas. The United States is its main market, and the factory's loyal clientele has stepped up in times of need.
In 1971, we had a fire in the factory. And it was a very difficult period back in time because we lost a lot of archives. A lot of American customers, we had people offering money and taking the designs with vegetable paper, making a copy of the designs in their houses of their tiles, of their compositions, and sending by mail to us so we don't lose our archives and we have material to continue to work.
This financial setback was one of the reasons Santana did not go industrial, a trend the other ceramic factories followed in the 1970s.
We had no money and we had to keep our process, handmade process. That some years after was a key success factor. All the others, when they have gone industrial, they have lost their essence, their history. If I have to lose something, I will lose the quantity component and not the quality component. With less quality, we are destroying our identity. We will do what we can to keep it, to keep this art alive with the same artistical quality.